Let's talk about being an assistant, because I think one of the best things you can do. I understand that you've studied filmmaking. You were an assistant director as well, and there's kind of like a buzz when you have your first feature coming out, right? As a director,
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine that at some point somewhere that was the plan, that you would want to have your first feature come out at some point. When did that plan start to unfold in your mind?
Obviously, I wanted that plan started to unfold even before I signed up for film school.
Mm.
Right? I mean, you want to be a filmmaker, hence you start the process. Um, but I just knew that I loved films and I wanted to do something in the world of films. Um, so much so that I had no clue what really, entails the process of direction, let's say. So when I went to sign in at Whistling Woods, that's where I studied
Yes.
film. Um, a million people had the same idea like me. So everybody wanted to either be an actor or a director. So those are the courses that get like those seats get like snatched up the earliest. So when
Right.
I went there, the direction seats were full.
Right.
And so I did some more research. I asked around, and people were like, listen, um, you should also consider editing and screenwriting
Yes.
because you know how you get to learn all these things later where they say, oh, the film's made like on in three stages, first in the writing table, then the actual shoot, and then the edit table.
Post production,
So
yes.
and yeah, and then people gave me all kinds of names, like it is that Raj Kapoor and David Dhawan and again, Mr. Bansali's name was thrown at me
Yes.
then. This is like in 2007, like around 15 years ago. No idea, obviously, at that time that he'd end up being my producer. But
Right.
they all said that, these are the people who'd been editors, and that helps you become, like, hone your skill as a storyteller. So, because you get to learn from all the stuff that people send to the edit table. And I saw how true that was. But honestly, when I joined the course, I I just knew I love films. I want to make films. I had no idea
Mm.
what anyone does. Like nowadays, people are making films on their cameras and on their phones. Sorry, like
Yes.
and but this is the time when this whole phone cameras and everything, smartphones wasn't really a thing. And I honestly hadn't even as much as held a handicap. Forget like making a film or whatever. So when I joined, it took me some time to realize that yes, this is what a director does, and yes, this is what I want to do, despite majoring in editing. And I think you're really naive initially when you're like, I want to make a film. But
Yes.
yeah, but when you go to the set for the first time as an assistant and stuff, I think it happened to me. Like I would have been scared if like say before Karthik calling Karthik or even immediately after that, had someone said, "Here you go. Here's the money. Go make the film." I would have been scared. I wouldn't
Mm.
have been too sure of whether I'll be able to handle it. I think Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, by the time that film got over, I was sure that yes, okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
And it took some time. Film school and aiding everything. It took some time to get to that stage where like, yes, now I feel I can do it.
Mm.
So here we are.
Well, you're right, because I think that one of the things that people who are not necessarily involved in films, or again are naive initially, and they say
Yeah.
I want to make films, or I want to be a part of films, they don't understand that the screenwriting process, the writing process, can be sometimes upwards of 9, 10, 11 months. Some things can be in that process for 2, 3 years
Yeah.
sometimes, right? And
Yeah.
then editing is very interesting, because I don't think editors get enough credit. They're constantly seen as these technicians, which I say,
Yeah.
no, the editor makes your film, right? The
Yeah.
editor cuts it so that the number of times I have said this film is just 5 minutes too long, 10 minutes too
Mhm.
long,
Yeah.
things like that, right? Or a shot continuity. Obviously, the editor's shoulder is not just to maintain continuity. That should have happened on set, but the editor has so much more to do than just oh let's just edit this part. I don't think they get enough credit. Do you think that as well?
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, like before well, was studying to be an editor, um, even I thought like generally how laymen think that, editor didn't do very good job
Mhm.
here, the film was a bit too long. And you're like, the length of the film is the last thing that is really the editor's job.
Right.
There is so much, and I've like what I've learned through the years is the editor can be the difference between an award-winning performance and well, not so much,
Right.
because the editor does so much to save the performance, all the glitches that would have happened during the shoot. So when people talk about continuity, it's not the editor's job to maintain
No,
continuity. That is a continuity supervisor who's doing that on the
that's
set.
right.
It's when you've screwed that up is when the editor needs to figure out how to. Can I say that word? Is it okay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's that the editor needs to save, and basically protect the film from all the issues that have happened during the shoot. And when I say, and again, it's not just the editor. We don't give credit to writers. We don't give credit to, because if the writer hadn't written that moment, it wouldn't have come on screen.
Mhm.
Now, thankfully, at least someone like how you're talking about an editor and a writer not getting the new, there are people who every the makeup artists, the and trust me, which if you ask any filmmaker um, to sit down and tell you priority wise who are the most important, they'll have a tough time making their list, because trust me, sometimes a scene is not working. And I've seen that like on the edit table for my diplomas and stuff that I worked on, the BGM score. Like if there would be times when you're like, the performance is not, I don't know, but there'll be that little ting, that'll be that little
Yes.
music piece that just enhances it to like, brings you to tears. So there are so many people who contribute to that one moment that makes you feel something.
Right.
And each and every one of them is as important as the other. I just hope someday we do start. Finally, we've started paying attention to costumes, and not just for like
Set
costume
design.
dramas.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Earlier it was like, oh, costumes. Oh, you mean like historicals? No, no. I mean, if I'm dressing up a girl for a scene where she's just had a heartbreak, like the evening before, the next day when she like, I learned these things not just at film school, but even like in as an AD, like during Kartik calling Kartik, there was this thing where Deepika's character,
Yes.
the next day, and the director was really sweet. He was a first time director as well, Vijay Lalwani, and he took my inputs and he allowed me to be a part of the process. And he was like, "What do you think?" And
Mhm.
he was testing me. It wasn't like he didn't know. He was testing me. I was like, I don't think she'll care much about what she looks like the next day. She just wear whatever comes to her mind. You see, you can either go about it as, I will show him, and you
Right.
dress up to whatever. And but that is not this girl. This girl is somebody who, when she the next day, she would wear something which she just wants to. She wants to wear something light colored, something she doesn't want to be under the focus. And those are the things, like a designer does so much to give you the feel. Everybody is important, and I just hope we just gave that much respect to
Mhm.
you know all HODs and all crew members.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to pick up on what you just said. You talked about colors and what she'd be wearing. And
Yeah.
it's so important because what I notice and what I look for in a lot of films is the color graph, the colors
The
that
color
they
palette.
use, the
Yeah.
color palette.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because of how even, a blue pillow and a blue vase in a scene
Yeah.
can really enhance the scene, right? And there are
Right.
people who are thinking about this. Obviously, the director thinks about this as well. But there are so many different people. It really is a team. And one of the things I absolutely love is actually the colors associated with Tuesdays and Fridays, because I
Thank
think
you.
I think obviously there's the acting, there's the music, there's everything else that's coming out for the film,
Right.
but I love the colors. I think the colors work
Thank
so well, and I think really enhance what is the genre. for Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. So tell me a little bit. I understand that you wrote Tuesdays and Fridays as well.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that writing process, because in 2021, as an audience member, I would love to see a film like this, right? I'm looking forward to it.
Yay.
Why? Because I am the kind of person who really enjoys Ye Jawani Hai Diwani. I am the person who really enjoys films that I can just watch. Just
Guilty
sit and
pleasures, right?
watch.
Just
Exactly,
just
exactly,
lose yourself into it, smile from ear to ear for like 2 hours, and just have a fun time.
exactly. So, what was that? What you wanted as well for your first feature?
Absolutely. Like I knew I was, you see, they are the kind of films that I've grown up watching, right? Yash Chopra has been an inspiration. And
Right.
like for me, I mean, I'm assuming you're a Bollywood fan, hence the name. So, like for me, everything from, initial days, like I fell in love with movies even before I knew what they were. Like I loved
Mm.
moving images. So I used to wake up early in the morning on Sunday mornings here in India. Um, they have this show called Chitrahar and Rangoli, like on Doordarshan, they used to have them, where they would just play songs. This is like way before there were all these channels, and it was just you got to see new songs, and I was so excited. So I mean, do you know that Jati Hu Main from
Yes,
Karan
yes,
Arjun
but
and all them?
yes,
I remember, yeah, I remember recording them on the we used to have a VCR, and I used to
VHS. Yes.
record them and yeah, and play them again and again. So I was in love with movies from those days, and then the when there was something like a Maine Pyar Kiya, when like I saw it, I was like 5 years old when I saw that, and I wanted to be friends with those people on screen. I wanted to own a pigeon, like as kooky as that sounds. I'm not going to tell you whether that actually happened or not, but yes, so that was it. So um I just wanted to. So in the recent years, like in the 90s and early 2000s, whether it was like Hum Tum, Salam Namaste, these are the kind of films which they were my go-to films. They used to make me feel happy, and I wanted to do that for my first film.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of experience I had with these films, they used to be pick me ups when I felt low, and the
Right.
songs helped me. I wanted to give that. I thought I'd consider myself successful if I can make someone feel that, and I just wanted to do that, make those kind of like a film like those films, but with my take on them. So when
Right.
you see the film, you get that. While when you see the trailer, yes, it is, you see that there is a twist to it and the whole Tuesdays and Fridays thing, but
That's right.
that's not all. Like when you see the film, you'll realize that while I've made it look a certain way and I've worked very hard, thank you for noticing the colors and stuff. My production designer, Mandar, and my costume designer, Megha, we've all, and my DOP, Ewan, we've all sat down for meetings and blocked out like color palette and like what,
Nice.
you know, all of that for like meetings where like my line producer used to be so annoyed with us. She'd be like, what are you making? Do you think you're making like Devil Wears Prada? Why are you paying so much attention to costumes? I was like, I am just let me do what I'm doing, because
Right.
she obviously she was kidding, but she was like, Itna, why are you paying so much attention to these things? You're not like finding cure for cancer. It's just a film. Like, let me do it the way I want to.
Right.
And um, eventually, I just wanted it to be this. The film talks about slightly deeper things as well, but without being preachy, is at
Right.
least my hope for it. And there are things I want to say through every film I make or get to make, but again, in a palatable, fun manner. So all of those things had to be presented in a, with a sugar pill surrounded around it. Because how I look at these characters, I thought both of them were train wrecks waiting to happen. Like
Okay.
they would just live and lead sad, empty lives had they not met each other. But like we never
Right.
say so much in the film, but it's
Right.
implied. And I wanted to talk about how all these films, whether it's the movies that I mentioned earlier, or even the Hollywood rom-coms that we watch, like The Holiday, and like, I see Nancy Myers and Richard Curtis, these films, they all teach us or make us think romance is a certain way. They color our idea of what love and romance should be, the books
Yes.
and the movies. And then we are hit with real life. And, then you're like, okay, so films taught me first love happens in school or college, and then you get to live happily ever after with that person. But hey, what about the three failed relationships I've had?
Right.
And so then you end up going from being this hopeless romantic to what I call myself a reluctant romantic, where you
Okay.
want it, but you're the villain in your love life is no one else, or lack thereof, is no one else but you yourself and the baggage that you've
Mm.
accumulated over the years.
Mm.
So I'm hoping that we somewhere get to talk about that. That what about those people? What about people in the late
Right.
20s and early 30s who their friends have gotten married or coupling up, and now when everybody's talking about, hey, let's go for a trip, everybody's got a partner and you don't.
Right.
And what about then? How do you go on a date then?
Right.
So that's what, I'm sorry, I babble a lot. Yeah. And this is despite having like being on calls since morning. So clearly, like I have a capacity to just go on. Please.
Which is perfect because that's what probably makes you a good storyteller, and that's how you're able to expand on your characters. And I want to talk about expanding on your characters because I think one of the things that a good rom-com does, a good uh, film does in this genre, is that it really develops the protagonist. It really
Yeah.
develops, you get to see the arc, and
Right.
it's not just a lateral kind of journey, which can be done in some films, although you would still need a character arc. But I think it is the most important thing. Uh,
Right.
Again, from a viewer's perspective, tell me a little bit about developing your two characters and your two, obviously, your protagonists, and whether or not you stole inspiration from different people in your life. Because I think this, again, viewer's perspective, you look at people's quirks and you put them in. You put in quirks that you see, right? It's
Absolutely. Yeah.
observation skills. I think
Right.
a good filmmaker needs to be a good observer. Tell me a little
Yeah.
bit about developing your characters.
Sure. So, well, the girl, Jhataleka,
Yes.
she plays Sia, who is an entertainment
And
lawyer, right? So, oh, she'll kill me for saying this, but okay, my lawyer, rather, she wasn't my lawyer then, but a friend of mine. Um, I met her, and I got to know that she used to represent like her clients were everyone from like Priyanka Chopra to Shahid Kapoor to everyone, and like I love you, Ashmi. Sorry for saying this, but so um, I met her and I was like, hey, so you deal with these people like on a regular basis. You take care of their contracts and this and that. And she was like, yeah. And that's when like I was just like, so what if, and this is like many years ago, okay? So I was like, what if like a Shahid Kapoor, one of your clients walked up to you and asked you out? How would you react to that? Do you think it would be? She's like, well, I'm allowed to date my client because it's not against the law, but I don't know if I would.
okay.
And from there, I was like, but what if she did? And that's where like the character of Sia came in because she is an entertainment lawyer who meets this author, and that's
Right.
how the film begins.
Right.
So that's where the initial germ of Sia's character came in. And as far as she as like Sia as a character is concerned, she's primarily me. So like I'm not
Okay.
a lawyer, but she is so much. There would be so many times when I'd be like, no, I wouldn't do that, and she'd be like, Taran, Sia, would Sia do this? I was like, So like, even when I was writing it, like when I was writing drafts, there'd be sometimes like a writer friend of mine would give me feedback and be like, "You think
Right.
she would say something like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, no, I would." I was like, "No, no, no. You, there is a lot of you in the character, but then there is a lot of you in everything you create, like
Right.
a mix of all the people you've met and everything. But it isn't you. You have to let go. At some point, this character has its own journey, And you think, this girl, born and raised in London, this girl who's moved to Mumbai,
Right.
would she do this? And then that's when you have to answer those questions. So Sia as a character, I thought it's still really obviously very close to me. And anytime somebody would question any motive of the character or whatever, I'd take it personally and I'd need to like let go. But for her, it was just there's this girl who at one point did believe in love, at one point did, um, and you'll see in the film why whatever she's been through and stuff, which has made her the way she still is, because she does come up with this entire Tuesdays and Fridays thing. It's the
Right.
girl who proposes this entire arrangement,
Right.
and so she's the person who will take charge and say, okay, let's do this. um, what got her here? And her mother's getting married. Her
Yes.
mother's like, if I can move on, what's your problem? And so that is another additional thing where she is at that age where, the typical Punjabi mother is anyway been saying, why don't you get married, why don't you get married? And now the mother herself is getting married. So, and that's an added, obviously that's got to really
Right.
play up with your, yeah. So that was her thing and her journey. I don't want to give away more because I want you to enjoy the film.
Of course.
And for the guy as well, it's I think I wrote Varun as a character, well, with all his issues. I wrote him as a guy anyone should be able to fall in love with. He
Okay.
was on, and that's something I told Anmol as well. I said the script is designed to make you, somebody, to make people fall in love with this guy till the time a major hitch happens, and then you're like, whoa. But you had to have fallen in love with him before that reveal is there, because otherwise the film won't work.
Right.
So so I told him very clearly, I have spent so much time and I didn't even know whether I'll make the film with newcomers or not. And because with newcomers it's even more of a responsibility, because with stars, at least I know I have an inbuilt fan base
Right.
for that actor. Like there is an inbuilt likability. You go in, like, if you like a certain actor, like, like I love Ryan Gosling. So when I go to watch, unless he is butchering a puppy in the first scene,
Right.
I am I have bought in to liking him and rooting for him.
Right.
So that way, Anmol, his character Varun, is actually the hero and the villain of the film, and I hope people like him and like the film overall. I've totally lost track of what I was saying, but I hope I answered the question.
Yes. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. So, just in terms of, to wrap up, in terms
Uh-huh.
of what you just said, you just hope that people like the film. What is the one thing that, all said and done, as the person who wrote the film to the person who has seen it all the way through, and now you're doing, the marketing, the promotions, doing these
Yeah.
interviews, when you look back, how would you sum up in one line? How would you sum up your experience with this film
In one line,
in one line?
it's it's been a journey of a lifetime. I it's I've been associated with this film and these characters for longer than anyone else, obviously. From the moment I thought I should write something to being here,
Mm,
it's been a decade or more. And to me, it feels like I don't know what I'll do with myself beyond 19th of Feb. Like I for once I'll wake up and I wouldn't have this film to worry about.
right.
And that'll be, I don't know how I'll feel, but thankfully I'm with my parents. I've come back home for the release of the film. I want to celebrate
Nice.
it with them. So because they've been on this journey with me as much as I have been on it. And yeah, I'm just it is literally, it's been a lifetime. Like I can't remember the time when I wasn't trying to make this film. And
Right.
it'll take some time getting used to, that the void that'll I know it's impending, it's there, it's coming. I hope I get another opportunity to make a film, another story that I get excited about, because I'm dying to make my second film. I just don't know what it is yet. Like I'm
Mm,
reading stuff every day. I I'm asking people to send me scripts. A lot of producers, thankfully, after the trailer came out, I've been getting messages where they're like, "Hey, do you want to pitch us something?" And I have to like gingerly be like, "Do you want to pitch me something? Do you have something that you think maybe I would be okay for?" So yeah, whole lot of nervousness and hope. I guess that was more
Well,
than a line, but yeah. Sorry.
well,
Yeah.
fingers crossed that it works out and everyone enjoys the film. I've certainly enjoyed the songs, the trailer so far, and as I said to you, I'm a huge fan of the way everything has been presented. The colors, costumes, everything just seems absolutely fantastic. Right up my alley, something to enjoy. So,
Yay.
the very best of luck to you, and
Thank
here's
you.
hoping to have many more conversations with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amin. Thank you.
Take care.